The first thing you need to know when playing a rogue is, of course, what race to play. Well, as Alliance, Worgen have lost the top spot, and that is because of the introduction of Pandaren. They have an Epicurean buff, which is their racial, and this doubles their well-fed bonus, meaning you get double the effect from food. At the start of Mr. Pandaria Classic, this would mean an extra 300 agility on top of the 300 agility you'll already be getting from your well-fed buff. For Trolls, however, or sorry, I say for Horde, however, Trolls, you guessed it, will be the best. They actually have a buff called Berserking, which does stack with things like Bloodlust, and this increases their melee ranged and spell haste by 20% for 10 seconds, which is phenomenal. They do also have a buff called Beast Slaying, meaning they do 5% more damage to beasts passively, which won't always come in handy, but it is something to think about. So if you are going for Horde, I would say go for Troll. If you are going Alliance, it's going to be Pandaren. If you don't like those options, Worgen is the second best with their 1% crit from Viciousness. Next up is the talents and glyphs. So in Mr. Pandaria Classic, they have really overhauled the talents. It's not my favourite. I actually preferred how it was previously, but, you know, who am I to judge? So at level 15, we're going to be going with Shadow Focus, where your abilities cost 75% less energy when we are stealthed. We will go into combat in stealth to make use of this, and we also have a cooldown here every 2 minutes called Vanish, allowing us to go into stealth when in combat. It's an improved mode of stealth for 3 seconds. For the first 3 seconds after vanishing, damage and harmful effects received will not break stealth as well. What we're going to be using this on is Mutilate, our combo point builder. If you don't know what that means, don't worry, I'll be explaining it in the rotation section. The next line, the only one that I think really is going to help you in a PvE situation, is going to be Deadly Throw. It's a finishing move, so how it works with Rogue is we have combo point builders and spenders. So we have Mutilate, and I use it on the enemy, and as you can see, I've now just generated 3 combo points up here, very small, on my enemy. I can then use a combo point finisher, so like Slice and Dice, for example, will consume combo points to increase our melee attack speed. And if I have 3 combo points, it will last for 24 seconds. So 3 combo points, I use it, it lasts for 23 seconds. If I had 5 combo points, that buff would last for 36 seconds. So Deadly Throw is a new finisher, where basically it reduces the movement speed of your target by 50%. If performed with 3 combo points, it will also interrupt spellcasting on your enemy. So it's an extra interrupt to interrupt the enemy spellcasting, which is really useful, especially in dungeons. And the more combo points you do with it, the more damage it deals. We're not going to be using this in the rotation, but you could use it if you do want to slow them down, and if you do want to interrupt them. But we do have another ability called Kick, which is our main interrupt. But really what I'm saying is it's the best of a bad bunch of 3 different spells, which we have here. Nerve Strike and Combat Readiness I just don't think are that good. Deadly Throw is the only one that has any impact on something being useful, in my opinion. On line 45, I go for Leeching Poison. So we can have 2 poisons on our weapon, a lethal and non-lethal. Leeching is our non-lethal version. Deadly Poison is the lethal version you'll be using. Leeching Poison. Your weapon strikes have a chance to actually cause your damage to heal you, the rogue, for 10% of damage dealt. We're also going to put on Deadly Poison. Each strike has a chance causing the target to suffer nature damage. Subsequent poison applications deal instant nature damage. If you go into your spellbook, under Rogue, we have Poisons, so you're going to apply Deadly and also Leeching. And we get Leeching from the level 45 talent. Shadow Step at level 60, I'm going to plop that on there because we're going to talk about it later. Step through the shadows and appear behind your target. Movement speed is increased afterwards. You could also go for Burst of Speed, increasing movement speed by 70% for 4 seconds. Line 75 really isn't very interesting. I've gone for Dirty Tricks. Your Gouge and Blind no longer have an energy cost. If you're going to use those, it can be useful. These are all basically like crowd control spells and abilities, and they're really not that great for DPS rotations. And then on line 90, which you get obviously at the last level of Mr. Pandaria, we are going to get Anticipation. When one of your attacks generates a combo point on a target, but already has 5 combo points, because our maximum combo points is 5, So if you go over that 5, you gain an anticipation charge up to a maximum of 5. When you then perform an offensive finishing move, any anticipation charges are consumed to grant you those combo points. So let's just see that in action. I use my Mutilate, and I've got 4 combo points. I use it again, and I've gone over the 5-point cap, meaning I get a stack of anticipation. I use Mutilate again, and now I've got 4 stacks of anticipation. So when I use my finisher, Slice and Dice, sorry, it needs to be an offensive finishing move. In other words, a finishing move that does damage to a target. That was a really bad example on my part there. So there we go, we've got 4 stacks of anticipation. I use Envenom, and now, even though I've just used a finisher, I now actually have 4 combo points again because of those anticipation charges. So I'd gone over the cap by 4, and now it's given me 4 combo points back after I used my finisher. So, especially if you're a beginner to a rogue, or even, you know, in fast-paced raid environment, etc., if you do go over that cap of combo points, it's actually a really amazing ability where we can get some back over the cap, and we don't have to worry too much about that. And that's what I love about anticipation. Moving on to the glyphs, there's not really that many great ones for subtlety rogues. Ambush is a good one for your major, increasing the range of it by 5 yards, meaning when you go into combat, you can get an extra second of damage onto the boss. Kick, which reduces the cooldown, increases the cooldown of kick, but the cooldown is reduced when you interrupt a spell successfully. It depends how good you are at interrupting, as of if this will be useful for you. Glyph of Expose Armor. So we have an ability called Expose Armor here. Usually when you use it, it will actually decrease the enemy's armor by 4%, and you have to use it 3 times to get the full 12% effect. That glyph means you only need to use it once, but do be aware, if you use this going into combat, warriors also may be providing this, so do check who's providing this in your group or raid. We've got Glyph of Evasion, increasing the duration of it. This is a defensive spell, increasing a dodge chance. There's not really many others. Like a Glyph of Feint increases the duration of Feint. Again, it's a defensive that you can use whenever you want for 20 energy, reducing damage taken from area of effects. So there's just a few that are good for things like that, like defensives. But apart from that, we don't really have anything great. In AoE situations, there is Glyph of Sharpened Knives. This is an ability we're going to be using in AoE, and when you use it, it will actually apply Weakened Armor, the spell I just mentioned about reducing the enemy's armor. So this will apply it to the ones you hit with your AoE attack. Glyph of Vanish is also quite good, increasing the duration of Vanish by 2 seconds, meaning you can stay in stealth for longer. On the minor glyphs, we have Glyph of Blurred Speed, meaning when you sprint, you can walk on water. Sprint is a speed ability, you just go super fast. Glyph of Poisons, where you apply your poisons faster to your weapons. This is a quality of life, you're not going to be doing this in combat. And Glyph of Safe Fall, where your Safe Fall ability allows you to fall further without taking damage. So a bit more, like I said, quality of life. For Mr. Pandaria Classic, I'm teaming up with Zygor to give you 20% off with code Javier. Zygor gives you the fastest and most efficient leveling experience. As you can see here, looking at killing snow leopards, I can even click all the different waypoint coordinates to see the fastest way to get to the different areas they may be in. It can also look at flight paths and show me which ways to go, including all of the different travel options. And when choosing quest rewards, it can even tell me which is the best upgrade for me. And this will be even spec dependent. I can click on the gloves, complete the quest, and then it will even tell me to equip them and shows me how much attributes and stats I will gain by equipping these items. Maybe even talents. I can use the talent advisor with Zygor, simply clicking that I want to be an Affliction Warlock, and it's going to configure it automatically to show me the best leveling build for Affliction for me. The fun doesn't stop there, though, because it's available for SOD, Classic, Retail, Leveling. I can choose zones I want to go into, and it'll tell me how to get there and do all of the leveling in that zone, even if you're going back to old zones that you've leveled out of. Dungeons, dailies, events, reputation, gold-making, professions, pets and mounts, and achievements. You can use as little or as much as you like. And don't forget, you can get 20% off with code Javier and battle past everyone at lightning speed in Mr. Pandaria Classic. Moving on now to the exciting part, which is, of course, the rotation. So we're going to start combat in stealth. Now, don't forget, in your talents, you're probably taking Shadow Focus, meaning that when you're stealth, your abilities cost 75 less energy. One of our best abilities, Ambush, is also going to be used from stealth. So the way it works is, as you can see over here, I have 5 combo points on my enemy. So I have my combo point builders and my combo point spenders. And then as well as having 5 combo points, we have anticipation at level 90, meaning that over level 90, over 5 combo points, we can actually store an extra 5 combo points basically as a buff. And then we use a finisher, we get those combo points. So the main combo point builders we're going to be using are ambush. So you're going to go into combat in stealth and ambush. What you're also going to do is use premeditation. When used, adds 2 combo points to your target. You must add to you or use those within 18 seconds, but it does require stealth. So you go into combat, add 2 combo points to your target, use your ambush, and then I would use weaken armor unless no one else is doing it. If you can't use ambush, because like I said, it requires stealth, so now we're in combat and we're not in stealth, the next combo point builder you would use is Hemorrhage. This is an instant strike dealing weapon damage, more if a dagger is equipped, causing profuse bleeding that deals an additional 50% of the direct strike's damage over 24 seconds. So you want to keep that debuff up on the target at all times to deal that damage. So we're only reapplying Hemorrhage when the Hemorrhage debuff comes off the target. Otherwise, our default one will be Backstab. Backstacking the target, causing massive weapon damage, but we must be behind the target and we require a dagger in the main hand. And this will award 1 combo point. So if you are in stealth, we use ambush, keep the Hemorrhage debuff up, and otherwise use Backstab. One thing I should mention is that we have got cooldowns like Vanish, where we can basically go back into stealth in combat, so that we can use our ambush again, etc. And we can also then use, so these disconnects are really bad at the moment, so my spells are literally being rolled back off my ability bars, premeditation as well. We also have Shadow Dance on a 1-minute cooldown. Enter the Shadow Dance for 8 seconds, allowing the use of abilities that ordinarily require stealth. The energy cost of ambush is reduced while this is also active, meaning you can actually use your ambush even cheaper when in Shadow Dance. So we can use Shadow Dance, Vanish, and also Preparation, which will get rid of the cooldown on Vanish in order to go back into stealth in combat, use Premeditation to get our extra combo points, and also Ambush. Now let's go on to the combo point finishers that we'll be using. So number 1, obviously we're going to be keeping up our Hemorrhage debuff, otherwise we're using Backstab. The number 1 finisher you want to use is Slice and Dice. Used at 5 points, it will last for 36 seconds and increases your melee attack speed by 55%, which is massive. So keep that buff up at all times. Otherwise, we want to use Rupture. This is something else we're going to be using to keep up a debuff on the target. It's another bleed, so you'll have Rupture and also Hemorrhage up, debuffing the target. Otherwise, if you don't need to do those two things, we're going to be using Eviscerate as our combo point finisher to deal damage. If you're dealing with multiple targets, let's say 2, 3, 4, 5, then use Crimson Tempest as your finisher instead. If you literally have an insane amount of enemies, 7 or more, I would say, maybe 6, then use Fan of Knives as your combo point generator, and then Crimson Tempest as your finisher, and just use these 2 abilities. But that's only if you've got a hell of a lot of enemies. We can also use Shadow Blades as a cooldown, meaning that our attacks do pure shadow damage and our combo point generators actually do an additional combo point. They generate an additional combo point. So we can use this in our burst as well, like when we go into Vanish and use Premeditation and Ambush, etc., to get through our rotation even quicker. Let's say here I've got 5 combo points on this enemy and the fight requires me to go over to this enemy. Well, you're not actually going to waste those combo points because we can also use the redirect spell, transferring the combo points to the new enemy. Going over now some defensives, we've got Cloak of Shadows, providing a brief moment of immunity against magical damage and removing all harmful spell effects. Feint we mentioned, and Evasion I mentioned in the Glyphs part, and Shadow Step as well, where you step through the shadows, appearing behind your target and increasing movement speed. Really good for movement-heavy fights, where you need to appear behind your target. And one thing to mention as well, just to go over again, let's say I've got 5 combo points here, but I haven't noticed, and I need to get my Hemorrhage buff back up, and I want to backstab. Don't forget, because you're level 90 talent Anticipation, those 4 combo points are stored in this buff. Meaning, when I then use my next offensive finisher, like Eviscerate, I then immediately get those 4 combo points back from the buff. So you don't have to worry too much about that. Looking at the passives we have, obviously we've got Anticipation I've just spoke about, Dirty Tricks. We have Energetic Recovery, where your Slice and Dice ability, you regain 8 energy every 2 seconds. So unlike Combat and Assassination, Subtlety, Slice and Dice is even more needed in Subtlety, being kept up. We have Honor Among Thieves. When any player in your party or raid critically hits with a spell or ability, you gain a combo point on your current target. This is honestly mental, in my opinion, and it can only occur once every 2 seconds, and can only occur, obviously, when you're in combat. Find Weakness. Your Ambush, Garrett, Cheap Shop, etc. reveal a flaw in your target's defenses, causing all of your attacks to bypass all of that enemy's armor for 10 seconds. Mostly, for us, that's going to come from Ambush and Ambush only, which highlights the reason why we need to go into Stealth as much as possible to use Ambush and hope for that buff to happen. There it is, Find Weakness. Master of Subtlety, attacks made while stealthed and for 6 seconds after breaking stealth cause 10% additional damage. Again, another reason why we love stealth so much. So when you go into stealth and after you leave stealth, you're even going to do more damage. So you want to go into stealth as much as possible. Our Mastery stat, Executioner, increases the damage done by our finishing moves and how effective our Slice and Dice is. So again, Subtlety loves Slice and Dice even more than the other specs. Sanguinary Vein increases the damage of your Rupture ability and causes you to deal additional damage to targets afflicted by Rupture. So you really want to keep that Rupture up at all times in order to maximize damage done. And lastly, Sinister Calling increases our agility. We move faster because of Fleet Flooded. Oh my god. So Fleet-footed, we actually move faster. We also have our poisons, which I don't know if I mentioned or not, but basically Deadly Poison is your lethal poison, and Leeching, if you took the talent, will be your non-lethal poison. We also have a few things. We have a lot of utilities. I'm not going to go through all of them. The ones you're going to be using a lot is Kick, which is your main interrupt, to interrupt the enemy spellcasting, using a lot in dungeons, etc. Tricks of the Trade is actually really, really good. This is going to redirect your threat to somebody else, like the tank, and all damage caused by the target is increased by 15% during that time. Another one I did mention briefly earlier is Sprint, increasing your movement speed by 70% for 8 seconds, and no, it does not break stealth. And that is the main rotation you'll be using as a Subtlety rogue in MoP Classic. For the stat priority you want, it's fairly straightforward. Number 1, agility, of course, adding attack power and crit. Next up, you do want to hit your 7.5 hit chance and expertise rating caps. Hit rating is your chance to actually miss the boss, and expertise is their chance to dodge or parry your attack. Now, one thing is interesting as a Subtlety rogue, we're often attacking from behind. Now, when you are behind the boss, they cannot parry your attacks. However, they can be dodged. So it's a bit of a mess. So it's not as important for us Subtlety rogues, but it is still important that we hit the 7.5% cap. Now, if you're a gnome, you actually have a short blade specialization, meaning you only need 2,210 expertise, whereas everyone else needs 2,550. And that's the same amount if you're if you're looking to get the hit cap as well, it's 2,550. But the gnome dual-wielding dagger specialization only helps with expertise, not hit cap. After that, we want to go for haste rating, increasing our attack speed and our energy regeneration, which helps us maintain our rotation. After that, it will be crit chance, so we could do more damage. And lastly, mastery, increasing the damage of our finishing moves and also the amount of extra melee attack speed granted through Slice and Dice. For the gems you're going to want in your meta slot, it's an Agile Primal Diamond, Delicate Primordial Ruby in the red slot. If the socket bonus is something like 60 Mastery or 60 Haste, then actually just go for a Delicate Primordial Ruby. The agility you'll gain from it is going to outweigh the socket bonus. However, if it is 60 agility or more, then go for a Deft Vermilion Onyx. With the blue slots, again, same thing. If it's not, then go for a Glinting Imperial Amethyst. For the enchants that you've got available, we've got Inscription on the shoulders. You can add accuracy and crit, etc. on your back. If you're a tailor, you can actually add, I think it gives you about 1,000 attack power for the embroidery with Sword Guard, glorious stats on the chest, agility on your wrists, and you can add an extra socket if you are a blacksmith. Same with the wrists, you can actually add fur lining with agility if you are actually a leather worker. On your hands, if you do need the expertise, you can use it with an enchant. Otherwise, it's haste, mastery, etc. Synapse springs and socket for the gloves as well with blacksmiths. everyone, no matter your profession, can add a living steel belt buckle, but they probably will get expensive. Shadow leather leg armor, again, leather workers have a better one. Blurred speed on the feet, there's a cheaper version if you can't afford it. 2 greater agility enchants on your rings if you're an enchanter, and then the weapon enchants will be dancing steel, elemental force, or windsong. Looking at the actual professions you can get yourself, you can get blacksmithing and jewel crafting to add 320 agility through gems, blacksmithing in the form of extra slots, and jewel crafting, of course, in the actual effect of getting, well, better gems. Alchemy, enchanting, inscription, and engineering all add about 320 agility, whereas leatherworking adds 330, so a teeny weeny little boost there, and tailoring gives about 1,000 attack power. Lastly, on the buffs you can get, Sea Mist Rice Noodles give you 300 agility, Valley Stir Fry gives you 275 agility, Banquet of the Wok, which is the banquet you'll be probably using, at 275, and Sauteed Carrots at 250. These aren't the actual icons for it, obviously. I made this myself, I'm quite proud. Any other banquets after that? For your flask, it's the Flask of Spring Blossoms, and Vermin's Bite is going to be your potion. And that rounds it up, guys. If you are looking for the other 2 rogue specs, then do check out the playlist you'll shortly see on screen, as I have done them all, as well as every other spec for every other class. If you did want to get Zygor and make the most of your Mr. Pandaria Classic journey, then you can get 20% off, remember, using code Javier, and that is in the description. And if you would like any extra support from me, or you just want to support the channel, I'll get LVI profiles, etc., and spreadsheets that I've made for you. You can get those on my Patreon, also linked in the description for you. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and let me know your thoughts down below.